Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. The news broke like a thunderclap on a quiet afternoon, the kind that makes people pause mid-scroll and reread the headline twice just to be sure it was real. A beloved Southern charm star, known for effortless charisma, quick wit, and a vulnerability that felt disarmingly genuine, had died suddenly. Details were scarce, emotions were raw, and within minutes, grief rippled across social media like a dark tide. Fans lit virtual candles, fellow cast members posted broken heart emojis and black and white photos. Even casual viewers felt the loss. The star had been one of those rare reality TV figures who managed to feel human, someone who laughed loudly, hurt openly, and never pretended to be polished. The tragedy felt personal. Then, amid the sorrow, a different kind of shock arrived. Nick Viall, former Bachelor, podcast host, and professional commentator on pop culture, shared his thoughts. What he likely intended as a blunt, analytical take landed with a thud, then exploded into outrage. Within hours, his name trended alongside words like tone-deaf, insensitive, and disrespectful. The internet, already grieving, turned its anger outward. At first, few people even knew what he had said. Screenshots began to circulate, a clip from his podcast, a paragraph pulled from a transcript, a quote isolated and stripped of context. In it, Nick discussed the tragedy in the language he often used, measured, dissecting, almost clinical. He referenced the pressures of fame, choices made under scrutiny, and the inevitable consequences of a life lived publicly. For many listeners, that phrase, inevitable consequences, felt like a slap. "How can you talk about consequences when someone just died?" one fan tweeted. "This isn't the time for analysis, it's time for compassion." The outrage swelled fast, fueled by grief and the familiar speed of social media. TikTok creators stitched the clip with furious commentary. Instagram stories filled with all-caps condemnations. Even people who had never followed Nick Viall weighed in, sensing blood in the water. But outrage rarely grows in a straight line. It twists, doubles back, and gathers momentum from every corner of emotion, and this was no exception. The weight of a moment. Nick Viall had built a career on opinions. After his time in the Bachelor universe, he reinvented himself as a podcaster who didn't shy away from hard truths. His brand was honesty, sometimes brutal, often provocative. Fans appreciated him for saying what others wouldn't. Critics accused him of lacking empathy. This moment tested that balance. The Southern charm star's death wasn't just another headline, it was a fresh wound. The cast was family to many viewers. The show had followed their lives for years, documenting growth, mistakes, and redemption arcs. To speak about the tragedy with anything less than visible heartbreak felt, to many, like a betrayal of the unspoken rules of grief. Nick's comments, delivered in his familiar calm tone, clashed violently with the emotional chaos of the moment. He didn't cry. He didn't pause for long. He didn't say the expected phrases, thoughts and prayers, gone too soon, devastating loss, at least not in the way people wanted. Instead, he analyzed. And analysis in the immediate aftermath of death can sound like judgment, even when it isn't meant to be. Fans fight back. By evening, the backlash had crystallized into something more organized. Hashtags called for accountability. Long threads explained why Nick's words were harmful, line by line. Some fans accused him of blaming the deceased for their own death, even though he never explicitly said so. Intent no longer mattered, impact did. A popular fan account wrote, "You don't get to intellectualize someone's death when their loved ones are still trying to breathe." The tweet garnered tens of thousands of likes, becoming a rallying cry. Former Southern Charm cast members added fuel, some indirectly, some not. One posted a cryptic message about people who use tragedy as content. Another shared a quote about silence being kinder than commentary. No names were mentioned, but everyone knew who they were talking about. The line between critique and pile-on blurred quickly. Nick responds, "Silence can be powerful, but in the age of social media, it can also look like indifference. After nearly a full day of mounting criticism, Nick broke his silence. He didn't issue a Notes app apology right away. Instead, he addressed the controversy on his podcast, again in his own voice. He acknowledged the pain people were feeling and said he was truly sorry that his words had added to that pain. He insisted he never intended to disrespect the deceased or their loved ones. "I was trying to talk about the pressures of public life, not assign blame. If it came across that way, I regret it deeply." For some, that apology landed. For others, it felt insufficient, too explanatory, too focused on intention rather than harm. The phrase, "I'm sorry if," became a lightning rod, dissected and criticized in comment sections everywhere. "An apology shouldn't come with a defense," one user wrote. "He still doesn't get it," another added. But amid the anger, quieter voices began to emerge. The divide. Not everyone believed Nick deserved the backlash. A subset of fans argued that he was being unfairly targeted, turned into a villain because the internet needed somewhere to place its grief. "He didn't cause this tragedy," one commenter pointed out. "He talked about it like an adult." Others noted that Nick's job was commentary, that asking him to abandon analysis entirely was unrealistic. "We can grieve and still have conversations about mental health, fame, and pressure," wrote a mental health advocate. "Those conversations might actually save lives." The debate fractured timelines and comment sections into opposing camps, compassion first versus conversation now. Both believed they were defending something sacred, either the dignity of the dead or the importance of honest dialogue. And in the middle of it all was the uncomfortable truth that grief doesn't follow rules. A mirror to the culture. The controversy surrounding Nick Viall became about more than one man's comments. It exposed a deeper tension in celebrity culture. When tragedy strikes, who gets to speak and how? Reality stars occupy a strange space. They are famous enough to be public property, yet personal enough that fans feel protective. When one of them dies, it's not just a loss, it's a rupture in a shared story. Nick, a product of the same reality TV machine, was both insider and outsider. He understood the pressures, yet he wasn't part of Southern Charm's family. His voice carried authority, and that made his words heavier, sharper. The outrage, then, wasn't just about tone, it was about ownership of grief. The family at the center. As the internet argued, the family of the late Southern Charm star remained mostly silent. Their absence from the discourse felt like a sobering reminder of what actually mattered. While strangers debated semantics and apologies, they were planning a funeral, sorting through memories, learning how to live with a hole that would never close. When a brief statement finally emerged from the family, thanking fans for their love and asking for privacy, it cut through the noise. Many who had been furiously tweeting paused, suddenly aware of the distance between online outrage and real-world pain. Some deleted posts, some doubled down. Grief doesn't make people consistent. The aftermath. Weeks later, the outrage cooled, as internet fires often do. New scandals emerged, new villains were chosen, but the conversation left scars. Nick Viall continued his podcast, more cautious, more deliberate. He spoke later about learning when not to speak at all. Some fans never forgave him. Others quietly returned, drawn back by familiarity and time. The legacy of the Southern Charm star, meanwhile, took on a different weight. Their life was remembered not just for dramatic moments on screen, but for the way their death forced a reckoning about empathy, about commentary, about the limits of public discourse. In a strange way, the outrage became part of the story, not the story anyone wanted, but one that revealed something true, that in moments of loss, people aren't just mourning a person, they're mourning their sense of safety, their illusions about fame, and their belief that there's a right way to grieve. What remains? Years from now, few will remember the exact words Nick Viall said. The screenshots will fade, the hashtags will vanish into digital dust. What may linger instead is the lesson, fragile, imperfect, but necessary. Words matter most when hearts are raw. Silence can be kinder than insight, and outrage, while powerful, is often a reflection of pain searching for somewhere to land. In the end, a life was lost. Everything else, the debates, the apologies, the backlash, was just noise around that quiet, devastating fact. And perhaps the real tragedy wasn't that someone spoke out of turn, but that in a world so hungry for commentary, we sometimes forget to simply sit with grief and let it be.